Early this morning, we had another example of the useless theatrics of the TSA at airports. Here again at JFK. Of course, this has happened once before where they allowed a lot of passengers to just walk through without being screened. Now we see this happening yet again today. 11 passengers walked through a security lane without being screened at Kennedy Airport early Monday because the TSA left the area open and unattended, said law enforcement sources. A security camera captured a metal detector going off 3 times as travelers walked through the screening lane, and then they made it worse. The TSA tried to mitigate the situation by sending their own screeners throughout the terminal in violation of all the protocols, trying to find the people that they had inadvertently let through. Look, folks, we understand that this is simply theatrics. This is there to try to make you feel safe. And people willingly give up their Fourth Amendment rights. We have seen the TSA do this before, haven't we? Remember the first Thanksgiving after they instituted their molesting protocols and their X-ray screeners, and we organized. InfoWars was a large part of that. There was an organization. There was a grassroots organization to try to opt out. Everybody was going to opt out on that Thanksgiving. They were concerned that it was going to be a large opting out and that they were going to back everything up. So the TSA just turned off the scanners and let people walk through on the busiest travel day of the year, because they know, and you know as well as I do, if you're listening to this broadcast, that there is no security that is being conducted by the TSA. This is simply conditioning for a police state, conditioning to get you to give up your liberty, to let them violate the Constitution, and to just go along with it. And so we continue to see this happening yet again. Today it happened at JFK. Also, a new study has just come out, a report on at Breitbart. Trump's border wall could save $64 billion over 10 years. We hear a lot of talk about the phenomenal cost and who is going to pay for it. Well, you know what? The American taxpayer would be saving more than this is going to cost. As I point out, this is a new study by the Center for Immigration Studies. They said an effective border wall could save taxpayers $64 billion over the next 10 years. This is information that was based on a study by the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine, NAS. And here's some of the bullet points on this. They say immigrants who come to America with modest levels of education create significantly more in costs for government than they pay in taxes. Let's understand, of course, it's not just that they're coming here without a significant education in order to be able to take a high-paying job or whatever, hopefully not at a fraction of the cost of people who are already here. But it's also the fact that we're having to pay for their education. That's why many of them are coming here. That's why many of them are coming here unaccompanied, as we hear from the unaccompanied minors coming in, even though that includes people up to the age of 31, coming here for a free education in the language of their choice at taxpayer expense, at the expense probably of your home, because it's going to be your property taxes are going to pay for that. But also remember that all these people, as they talk about the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island, let's remember that those waves of immigration that came in through Ellis Island were done largely before FDR enacted his welfare state. You cannot have a welfare state and uncontrolled immigration with uncontrolled benefits for people. They also went on to say the NAS study showed that the average cost estimates combined with the educational levels of illegal border crossers shows a net fiscal drain of $74,722 per illegal crosser. They say if a border wall prevented 160,000 to 200,000 illegal crossings, and that's excluding their descendants, in the next 10 years, it would be enough to pay for an estimated $12 to $15 billion cost of the wall. Meanwhile, we see some updates from sanctuary cities. In Denver, one of 2 suspects in a Denver light rail robbery and murder was released from jail despite being flagged by ICE officials. They say a man suspected in a Denver murder this month was released from the county jail in December after ICE officials flagged him as an immigration enforcement priority. So now he is suspected of murder. Previously, he had been put in jail for multiple charges of possession of a weapon, vehicle theft, and eluding. But of course, since he also violated the law about crossing our borders, he was given immunity essentially for those charges of possessing a weapon, stealing a car, and eluding arrest. Now he is suspected of murder. They say the detainer was not honored, said ICE on Friday. He was released from jail on December 20th, 2016 without notification to ICE. They released him on only $5,000 bail. even though he perhaps had an armed robbery of a car, and now he has killed somebody. They said due to his criminal history and his gang affiliation, he was an ICE immigration enforcement priority, but not a priority for Denver, because they want to give special priority rights to people no matter what else they do, because they are illegal immigrants, foreign citizens here illegally. And we see the same thing here in Austin, Texas. Our newly elected sheriff here has said that she's only going to turn people over to ICE if they've committed 3 specific crimes. But then we saw just in the last week, she says she'll likely include additional criminal charges, things that will involve children and elderly and people that they will turn over. Isn't that nice? Now, Americans who are elderly and American children enjoy some protection as well, according to the sheriff, although there's still a lot of crimes that she determines she's not going to turn people over for. Violent crimes. They could rob a bank. She's not going to turn them over to ICE. They could steal your car. She's not going to turn them over to ICE. They could be involved in multiple drunk driving incidents. She's not going to turn them over to ICE. Why? Because they're illegal immigrants and they have special rights. Earlier this week, the detainer of a man accused of molesting a child was initially declined. Why? Because molesting a child was not on the list of the Austin sheriff's things that she thought were serious. That's not serious enough because it's trumped by the fact that you are here illegally. You're a foreign citizen, so you get a pass on molesting children, according to the sheriff here in Travis County. It was initially declined because he was charged with continual sexual abuse of a young child, and that was not one of the 4 charges in the sheriff's policy. Isn't that great? Meanwhile, we saw this weekend that Chelsea Clinton took her 2-year-old daughter, bragged about the fact it was the first demonstration she'd taken her daughter to. Of course, they were part of the rally in Times Square, hashtag I am a Muslim too. And she's very excited about that. There was a loud call to prayer. There was also multiple shoutings of Allahu Akbar. In other words, our God is greater. Of course, we also heard that in Detroit with Farrakhan's rally in Detroit. But this was in New York. Meanwhile, as they keep telling us that we need to make as allies the moderate Muslims, we see that a U.S. mosque is holding a memorial for a jihadi assassin who murdered a Pakistani governor because he opposed the blasphemy law under Sharia. This is a report by Pamela Geller. She says, this is why we don't see more Muslim reformers, not only because they're targeted for death, but because they're celebrated by the so-called moderates here in America. This guy's name was Taseer. He dared to oppose the blasphemy law that Muslims in Pakistan have used for years now to persecute and to attack Christians. This is the Sharia behind the Charlie Hebdo slaughter and the multiple death attempts, she says, on her life. Now, this is a Maryland mosque that is mourning this murder. Here's the background on the story. There was a woman. Her name was Asia Bibi. She was a Christian woman. She was convicted of blaspheming the Prophet Muhammad after an argument erupted when she was bringing water to a female Muslim co-worker. Now, this man who was murdered subsequently to that, the politician who was there, was speaking out in her defense. But the Islamic terrorist who murdered him and was subsequently sentenced to death and executed, it sparked protests by Islamic groups across Pakistan. More than 100,000 people attended the assassin's funeral. And I want to remind you that Pakistan is not one of the 7 countries that we are doing extreme vetting for. Meanwhile, in New Jersey, an Islamic scholar there asked the crowd at the New Jersey mosque why they didn't come to the aid of the assassin after the arrest. And he says, warrior Mumtaz Quadri kissed the noose in love for Prophet Muhammad. When Quadri was in jail for 5 years, what did we do? What effort did we make for his release? See, they just didn't do enough to protect the guy who killed someone who spoke out against Sharia law. That's why we need to have extreme vetting, and that's why we need to take a look at the background of these individuals. Stay with us when we come back. Leanne McAdoo is going to take a look at Robert De Niro and vaccines. Of course, after shutting down the documentary Vaxxed, he is now speaking out. We'll be right back.
In case you haven't heard, InfoWars has become the most influential media outlet in America. We're making freedom go viral. And now we are proud to announce a new weapon in the epic battle against the globalists. InfoWars Prime, where you can watch live high-definition feeds of The Alex Jones Show, plus exclusive insider videos from the InfoWars crew and behind-the-scenes action. Go to Infowars.com/app and download today. InfoWars Prime is available right now for your iPhone or Android. You will have access to exclusive videos that you can't see anywhere else. And that means live coverage of events and breaking news on location as it happens. You can also take advantage of amazing deals from the InfoWars store that are only available for InfoWars Prime subscribers. That's InfoWars Prime at Infowars.com/app. And if you can hear my voice, you are the resistance.